I'm Howard Tipton, Town Manager of Longboat Key, and this is Tip Talks. So once a month we talk about things that are going on around the town, and today I've got Isaac Brownman, who is our Public Works Director and a regular guest on this show because he's about half responsible for everything that happens in the town. And so today we're going to talk about the town center. And so this is an exciting project that has been underway, or at least a vision, for probably more than a decade. And so we have finished phase one. We're getting ready to cut the ribbon on phase two and then embark on phase three. And so I just want to welcome Isaac, and then we'll talk a little bit about the different phases because you've seen a lot of that history, and just kind of walk us through, say, let's start with phase one here. And just so you know, we're talking about a property that is probably just east of Publix, here in the middle of the Key in Bay Isles. And so that's the area that we're talking about, just under 5 acres. And so it's a park, it's a pavilion, it's going to be maybe a community center library. It's got a lot of possibilities. And so again, just want to have Isaac walk us through the different phases and kind of how this has all come to be.
Very good. Thank you, Tip. I appreciate that. Yes, this area has been discussed for some time. It was the subject of potential development in the past, and back in 2014 and 2017, the town decided to buy this property and do something special with this property. So between those 2 years, a total of $3.7 million was spent to buy about 4.8 acres is what this constitutes. At the time, there was a restaurant, the Amoria restaurant was on the site with its respective parking area. So the first phase that the town embarked on was to gently elevate the site and demolish the restaurant. The site was extraordinarily low, very low. It would get very wet and hold water. In fact, there was a jurisdictional wetland, an isolated wetland on the site that was very non-functional, and the water management district didn't even claim it anymore. They said, well, if you want to fill it, here's a permit, fill it. So that's what we did. In phase one, we demolished the existing restaurant, and we gently raised the site and with grass, and began to activate the site. There was some tree lighting events, some other events on that initial site. That was phase one. From there, the commission was very much interested into continuing that development effort into some kind of a gathering space for the community, a park-like setting, gathering space. So over time and discussions, what developed was what we have today. Phase two includes an oval walkway made of a rubberized surface, so it's much softer on the feet. Underneath, it's got recycled rubber for the base, a lot of pervious surfaces on the site, and then additional elevation. So initially, phase two consisted of those park-like features, and there was an idea, a concept of building a stage or a pavilion on the site, but the funding wasn't there at the time. But then we had some interested donors on the Key that wanted to make this part happen, the stage itself, the pavilion. And lo and behold, that became part of phase two, and here we are standing in that pavilion. What's really neat about phase two is this stormwater management facility behind us was not just sized for phase two, but our permit allows us to actually build out phase three, which would be some kind of a structure, some kind of a building on the portion of the site to the southeast. And of course, as you mentioned, there are talks of a phase three effort that would include a partnership with Sarasota County.
And so you mentioned the pavilion, and we have to say that the Karen family, we had a number of sponsors, but the Karen family was the prime or platinum sponsor for this pavilion. And so we're grateful for their philanthropy and everybody else who contributed to it. And so as we think about this vision, it was actually, I guess, also done through the Urban Land Institute, or ULI, and they did a study that talked about the gathering place because the Key is kind of unique. We don't really have a downtown like some communities do, and so this has kind of become that downtown gathering space.
That's right. In fact, well before the ULI study, one of the early developers in Longboat Key, Arvida, had actually developed a lot of the southern portion of the island, but identified this location as kind of the commercial district, the hub, if you will, of the town. So this entire area, including town hall, the post office, the commercial, the Publix, the pharmacy, all was intended to be that kind of zone where people can come together. And the town commission also, with the ULI advice, decided, well, why don't we enhance that with some kind of public amenity in the central portion of that. It's a very walkable area and very well connected with other facilities.
So we appreciate the vision that past commissions had and our current commission in terms of getting phase 3 now started and kicked off. So what's going to be happening is that we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony on November the 11th starting at 3 p.m. It's also Veterans Day, so it's a two-part ceremony. We want to make sure that we recognize our veterans, and we're going to have quite a few out here to celebrate their service. And then we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony that not only officially opens up the park, but also kind of christens this new pavilion and recognizes the donors. And so it's going to be an exciting day. It'll be a full day. It'll go from 3 to 5. And after the ceremonies are done, we have the Sarasota Orchestra coming in to play for us for about 50 minutes or so afterwards. And so it's going to be a nice day of celebration and then some music. And so we're hoping that everybody in the community can come out and be a part of it, but really to recognize that we have this beautiful green space. And that's kind of the difference between having a traditional downtown and that's pavement and sidewalks and buildings, where this is green space. It's really a natural element that's been reclaimed and really improved upon. And so that part's exciting too. Well, Isaac, I appreciate your leadership on this as we wrap this up. I know, again, one of the many things that you have on your plate. Nice to get to this point. Yes. And to do this celebration. And for the community, again, it's a lovely gathering spot. I will testify that walking on the pathways here is a treat, because you feel like you've got that spring in your step because of that rubberized surface. It really is a treat to walk on. So encourage you to get out, get some exercise, and just enjoy this. We do have programming as we get into 2024. So we will have a market that will be at least one Monday a month. And then we'll have, in partnership with the Chamber, we'll have some concerts as well. And we're looking at doing some other programming, including the art show that was here last year. So we will begin to develop this site in terms of activities, but excited to kick it off November the 11th, starting at 3 p.m. We hope you can be here. That's it for now. I'm Howard Tipton. Be well.